know. I said I think. I didn't know what I did with them until I had to remember.
Playtime's over, mate. You're going to the war zone. Battle Royale. Set a drop point for your team, soldier. Avoid the gas. Get to the safe.
Scavenger contract identified. Scavenger contract located. Scavenger contract located.
Your primary objective is to kill them all.
Copy on that scavenger contract.
Target area marked. Let it clear out.
In their sight. Loader 2-0. Strike again.
Not dead yet.
Supply box identified. Marking location now. Enemy soldier incoming. Objectives update. Move to the next location. Next objective located. Contract complete. All supply boxes located. Enemy UAV overhead. Friendly UAV overhead. You've got a loadout drop inbound.
I got the wheel. We got recon online.
UAV entering the AO.
Get back!
Be advised, UAV is bingo view. Gas is moving. Enemy soldier incoming. 25
That nigga ghosted.
nicely done.
Oh my god.
Relocating.
Enemy UAV overhead.
I'm home, yes. So that's why? Only because I'm home.
Shoot at me!
Yeah. Tomorrow, no.
Loadout drop inbound.
What time? Hey, what time class start? Huh?
Gas is closing. Get to the new
You better
safe
come sit
zone.
at the table when they do. I don't want you in the room.
Grenade out! Throwing stuff.
Hostile dropping into the area. Be advised, enemy team is tracking your location. 25 remain. Fought hard out there. Return to base. Get yourself the proper warm-up. We'll be deployed soon.
Mark the target.
yourself sorted. We'll be deploying shortly. Warm-up's done. Time to kick this off. Battle Royale. Gas is closing on your position. Suggest you get moving. Enemy dropping into the AO. Eliminate all targets in the AO. Clock's ticking. Get to the target.
Armor here.
Contract complete. Your payment has been authorized.
Load out. Tommy, do you want me to return the money?
Friendly loadout drop on the way.
We got recon online.
UAV entering the AO. Go.
Be advised, UAV is bingo fuel. RTB for resupply.
Oh my god. Right here. Oh my god, bro. Every fucking time, bro. They're in the tent, two of them. Where y'all at, Tommy?
I'm finding people. Look, I just found 3 people.
Man, y'all way over by Nova, bro.
Enemy marked. Mark the target.
That's I think I can't.
whole fucking team. Good shit, Tommy. Shit, I'm fighting the whole team.
Gas is closing. Get to the new safe zone.
There's a care package here.
Let's go out to I got a UAV, y'all.
Pop it, Larry.
Friendly UAV overhead.
There's no one in my building. There's no one in my building.
Get your mic, bro.
Yeah.
Contract type is
Oh, I got three.
target.
Let's go. Just killed the whole team.
The enemy lost track of you. You're safe.
I'm in an ambush one now.
Damn, bro, you got 8 kills already.
Tommy, nah, I was about to go buy a loadout. That's okay. No, it's okay.
Anybody need this?
Yeah, see, I run faster with the street sweeper.
Call for fire. Target. Oh, shit. I'm taking fire.
You're losing ground.
No hits on that run.
Tommy, you can sneak up behind all of them, Tommy. He's raising them.
Yeah? I'm gonna just pick up on my dad's house.
You going the wrong way. That was dumb, Tommy. That was dumb. You should have went the other way. The way you was going at first. The way you was going at first, up the stairs.
It's the first current athlete that I'm aware of who went public with his disdain for the use of that word from black to black player.
Because I couldn't understand, Skip. I tweeted, why did Kyrie get so upset? I didn't know why he got upset. They called a foul on him. Shooter said, like, he's been fouling me, and he kept... So I didn't understand why. And then as it started to slowly trickle out, and yesterday you see, you can read Shooter's lip, what he said. And Kyrie like, don't call me that. And Shooter like, okay, you know, even as Kyrie's walking away, Shooter's looking at it like, okay, that's serious?
So, that old school group, that old school of thought, for me, dates back to my friend John Wooten. You know John?
Yes.
Dad, I got school.
For years and years, he was the head of the Fritz Pollard Alliance.
Oh, you got
It was
school?
called the Rooney
Okay.
Rule for the National
Hey, Larry.
League. He just recently retired from that position.
Yes.
But John is 84 years of age,
Right.
and dates
Larry,
back to
we'll be back.
Jim Brown
We'll
years
be back like in
in
30
Cleveland.
minutes.
And he blocked for Jim Brown, was an all-pro guard
Yeah.
for the old Cleveland Browns. Was a driving force behind the Ali Summit that we've referred to so many times. All the star power of the black players. Green, Jim Brown.
You want something to get a cup to look up? Yeah, you can put a rest in here in my room. Yeah, during school, you don't pay no gas.
I forget, it was just a cavalcade of black stuff.
Yes, it was. Yep.
To support Muhammad Ali in his draft stance.
Correct.
So I've spoken to John for years about this, and he's as old school as you can get. He said, I don't care what you did to that word, it's still that word. That word was the reason that so many black people were hanged back in the day, as you know. I get that, and it's not my position to take a side on this because it has been an ongoing conflict in your community for years and years.
Especially, Skip, we hear a lot about Jim Crow. But John Wooten grew up in Jim Crow. Guys like Congressman Jim Clyburn from South Carolina.
Yeah.
If you grew up in that era, I think it hits a little different.
It does.
I was born in '68, so I'm getting out of the the initial report. They said between 4 and 6 weeks, and it's going to come in right on schedule.
Well, it's coming in the back end of that.
But
6 weeks.
Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, they said 4 to 6.
I'm not in school.
They said 4 to 6. So anytime within that time frame is what they estimated, and LeBron's going to come into that. They said the same thing with AD. They said AD is going to miss somewhere between 6 and 8 weeks. AD is going to come in right in at about 8 weeks. I think it's going to play somewhere between 7 and the next 10 days, which will be about 8 weeks. Okay? Boom. There you go. I mean, what you expect? Skip there. Look, I get it. And a lot of people say, well, I've had this injury and I've had that injury. But you don't understand. Your injury doesn't affect. If I work a regular job, Skip, I have an injury, I can still go to work and do my job. LeBron James has got to perform at the highest of level. He's the best player in the NBA. Hey, first of all, I'm going to say this. First of all, I'm saying sorry, Dre. Sorry, Dre. This is about to go real left. Sorry, Dre. First of all, y'all don't even know what the y'all talking about because y'all talking about the NBA. Everybody got guaranteed contracts, and it's false. They still searching this, and I'm telling you, it's the truth. No, they don't. Not everybody that's on the NBA roster have a guarantee. There's two-way contracts. There's two-way contracts, and then there's the top talking about. There's the top stuff.
Why did we turn this into a horse?
How did you get this number like that?
This was supposed to be a legitimate expansion, a legitimate business, and you just ruined it.
The horse is still alive. I own the farm. Everything about this is legitimate.
The horse is gravely damaged. The owner here is devastated. You've just undermined everything we've been working on. We're supposed to be partners.
Partners? No. You exist for me to use. What did you think, huh? That because you were American, you were not going to get your hands dirty, Wendy? If I am at war, you are at war. We're not partners. I own you. And if you call me again like this, I will make sure that you remember that.
Where's Poland? We on his ass playing shows at. He get his way, we on his ass, we show it.
You made sure you don't got no mission assignment?
I'm staying up on my assignments. So I'm staying up on my assignment. I can't do nothing else.
What?
I said I'm staying up on my assignments. I'm up to date.
Keeping up.
Yeah.
Hey.
That boy really eating that little thing.
Even if you was playing your game, you wouldn't have been keeping up with it. Now you're what now?
Did you make the eggs already?
Yes.
Damn.
You don't want it.
I want it over easy.
Oh, he said you want it over easy.
Oh, it's too late.
Yeah, I know.
You don't remember me?
Band fighter not on my side. Big words, you barely have a thing to say.
That's not fair.
Don't talk to me about fair. Is it fair I married the man with the worst business sense in the state of Missouri? Everything is right. You ran this place straight into the ground. And you want to know what else? I
last year you married your brother. He was 3 inches taller than you.
How do you make a food?
Oh, it's saying that we need batteries. It's thing. You want me to have some?
You don't need no biscuits, Tommy.
You gotta do all that for some bread.
To hide in plain sight as one of them.
You're not gonna die without it.
Not hide as much as be one of them. The difference
You gotta learn how to let stuff go. You don't care not eating certain food.
together.
Smallville, is that you?
No, Lois. Hi. I'm sorry. This is
Lois Lane.
Diana Prince.
Here.
That's some
Tom, is your camera on? Sorry, the chew time. It's funny to see the little mouth chew. Not just swallow. You know what I'm talking about?
What is taking place today is a new way of
We're watching the highest-ranking African-American member of the House Majority Whip Jim Clyburn, echoing repeated claims by President Biden about voting laws. However, former House Speaker Newt Gingrich, who represented an Atlanta area district for 2 decades, says the president and Democrats are lying about that law.
This is a totally rational position, which has been deliberately lied about by the Democrats because they know they're sounding so horrified and so hostile. But it's explicitly totally not true and tells you about the collapse of honesty in the Democratic Party, that they have to rely on this kind of a false charge to even be in the argument.
The new Georgia law that's triggered national debate adds an identification requirement to absentee ballots, shortens runoff, and limits the Secretary of State's powers, among other things. Supporters say it's similar to voting laws in some blue states, in fact. RNC chairwoman Ron McDaniel. First of all, I want to get your reaction to Representative Clyburn's incendiary remarks.
Well, Newt Gingrich is exactly right. The president, Joe Biden, and Congressman Clyburn, they are lying. They are lying, but more than that, Harris, they are using racism to try and push their point and divide our country even further. And that is really wrong. I think it's racist for them to say that African Americans and Hispanic voters can't use voter ID. What prevents them from using voter ID? It's just absolutely false. It is disgusting, it is divisive, and it is not true. And this law, if you look at every aspect of it, it expands voting hours, it adds a Saturday day of voting, but what it does do is it strengthens things, like drop-off protection, having people watching them. It makes sure that counties have to say how many votes came in and how many were given out and how many came back in. It says you're going to have ID to vote. So many common sense measures that protect our elections that the majority of Americans agree with.
You know, it's interesting, got awfully quiet with those companies boycotting, and, you know, the MLB game, All-Star game moved out, went to Denver, and then everybody found out, oh, Colorado actually has voter ID laws.
Where you get there from?
Early voting days in Georgia? I do want to move on to this. The Senate Republican Conference memo first came by Fox News says, quote, Biden's partisan job-crushing slush fund spending just 5% of the total $2.7 trillion on roads and bridges, and the rest is just a wish list of failed Obama policy, expensive green mandates, and flurry of tax hikes that would ultimately cost the U.S. $1 million. Talking all about infrastructure now. This is on some of the policies that the president is wanting to put through without Republican support.
Again, I mean, the power grab you're seeing, and you talked about it in the first segment, they want to expand the Supreme Court and get rid of the filibuster because they want absolute power, which is exactly the opposite of what our founders intended. They wanted checks and balances, and this is exactly why. This infrastructure bill is a debacle, and Democrats want to ram it through without any cooperation with Republicans, without any discussion, without any compromise. It will decimate our country. It will do nothing to do with infrastructure. It is just a grab bag for Democrats. And everyone's watching our deficit grow and grow and grow. They're recognizing that gas prices are going up because of Joe Biden's stealing energy policy. They just saw this COVID boondoggle where only 9% went to actually helping with COVID, and now they want to ram something else through. This is why Republicans are going to take back the majority in the House in 2022, and Democrats are so worried about that they're trying to rush everything through.
I don't know. We got to go watch them.
Well, and
I didn't know you was off today. That's why.
Talkers of Republicans.
Well, you gonna call in?
Yeah, keep an eye on the year. I understand. They say they have Democrats to thank for all of it. House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy raised a record $27 million in the first 3 months of 2021. Minority Leader says he raised a record.
By how long you know he'll be okay?
7.1 million. And the House Republicans fundraising arm brought in $30 million. Some GOP lawmakers say it's a reaction to the Democratic agenda on issues like immigration, gun laws, voting laws, some of the things that you and I were just talking about. Here's Texas House Republican Michael McCall.
Are President Biden's policies
about how long?
driving
You know
Republican
what he'll
fundraising? Oh, 100%. I'm seeing it on the ground. I predict we will retake the House.
Now they have a meeting.
Nancy Pelosi get the majority back.
Good.
Remember, 20 of these Democrats are in Trump-carried districts.
They might have a diarrhea.
See how they can have this kind of voting
Something
record
like that.
and survive the midterm elections.
Almost ain't carbon. Good.
Well, I agree. You know, a lot of people I hear all the time saying, I knew Biden was going to be bad, but it's way worse than I ever thought. With the border,
What, he
with
bad right now?
the COVID boondoggle bill that did nothing to help COVID, still not in school. I'm in that boat as well. So many of the things that we're seeing from this administration are even worse than we could even imagine. And it is driving our fundraising. I just had an event this weekend, and the unity we are seeing among our investors, from the high-level dollars to the small dollar investors, they want to make sure that we win this next election because they are scared of what this administration and this absolute power that Democrats have amassed, not just in Congress, but with the corporates, with the cancel culture, and with the media. It is truly frightening for Americans, and they want Republicans to be that chapter.
RNC Chairwoman Ron McDaniel on the program today. Thank you. Good to see you.
Thank you.
We'll talk more about the showdown over President Biden's tax and spending plan as he gets ready to meet with a bipartisan group of lawmakers about it. Republicans are demanding answers from him on it, and they say they want the truth.
Show us a list of the projects you have in mind. You're asking us to get in the van. Show us the candy truck. Number 2, Mr. President, no offense, but stop the Niagara of lies. And tell your staff to stop. It's a nightmare.
Important news for veteran homeowners. Introducing Refi Plus from New Day USA. Refi Plus lets you refinance at near record lows. Plus, get cash. With home values climbing, now is the smartest time ever to turn your home's increased value into an average of $50,000 cash. Refi Plus, it's new. It's only for veterans, and it's only from New Day USA.
Call 1-844-964-1462. We ain't, but are still skeptical about ordering our 3-week quick start for just $19.95. So let me ask you, what's the worst that can happen?
Let's say Relief Factor doesn't work for you. The next out is $20.
But what if Relief Factor does work for you? 3 weeks from now, you could be paid free, like 10 not that bad.
As I was aging on the head, my hips getting lower, back, and even knee pain. I had pain up and down my legs. I was having it in my neck and my knees. After about 3 weeks, I could climb stairs, pain-free. When I started taking Relief Factor, I am pain-free. Now that I take Relief Factor, I'm pain-free. Thank you, Relief Factor. I'm really happy. It makes me feel like I'm hearing again.
Really, the decision is obvious. Go to ReliefFactor.com or call 800-4RELIEF and get your 3-week quick start today.
Tired of clean clothes that just don't smell clean? What if your clothes can stay fresh for weeks? Now they can. This towel has already been used, and it still smells fresh. Pour a cap of Downy Unstoppables into your washing machine before each load, and enjoy fresher smelling laundry for up to 12 weeks.
From the creators of the original Upwalker, the revolutionary mobility device that is helping countless people walk better and improve their freedom, is the all-new Upwalker Lite. The ultra-light Upwalker Lite that will enable you to walk upright so you can breathe better and farther with less effort. As you know, users of the Upwalker Lite practice mobility as medicine. They experience less pain and feel safer than those with traditional walkers. At only 16 pounds, it's easier than ever to fold and transport your Upwalker Lite. The arms are adjustable for a comfortable stance depending on height, and the built-in handbrakes will give you the control you need to walk at your own pace. According to a recent survey conducted by Upwalker, 89% of users would recommend the Upwalker Lite. 74% of users were able to walk 2 to 3 times further than their previous mobility device. 79% experienced less pain in their joints and back. And 91% felt the Upwalker Lite is a quality product. Call or go online right now and see what HME Business.
Mildly thick. Mildly enlarged. It is an expected finding in somebody that has high blood pressure. So even though there are some scoring systems that might say it wasn't even enlarged at all, in my view as a cardiologist, I think just the smallest element of increased heart thickness. And as I mentioned before, that's important because that's exactly what the heart is supposed to do when there's high blood pressure. That is a normal response. The muscles getting stronger is allowing the heart to work and work well. Now, if that goes on for, like I said before, 20 years, we can have problems. But early on, having a mildly thickened heart, not only a normal finding in someone with high blood pressure, would be beneficial.
That out 27 years. Keisha was out there serving
Did you see any evidence at all that the primary cause of Mr. Floyd's death originated in his heart?
No, I did not.
Her daddy was daddy cousin. Yeah, they related to.
Let's talk about this subject. Whether or not Mr. Floyd suffered from a drug overdose and died from a drug overdose.
Marie.
That was something that you also considered as a cause.
What's that? Because we don't see that out.
Are you familiar with Mr. Floyd's toxicology?
Wait to the airport. About to go pick them up.
Or which substances did you
I want all these motherfuckers in line ready to fuck him.
Mr. Floyd's toxicology history?
Marie.
When I looked at the toxicology reports, I focused mostly on the finding of fentanyl, as well as the finding of methamphetamine.
What role, if any, do you feel that the fentanyl played in the cause of Mr. Floyd's death?
As far as I can tell from reviewing all of the facts of the case, I see no evidence at all to suggest that a fentanyl overdose caused Mr. Floyd's death.
As a cardiologist, do you occasionally have to care for patients who struggle with opioids or opioid addiction?
Absolutely.
So here you found that the fentanyl,
you know who he went to jail behind, right?
played no role in Mr. Floyd's death. Would you tell us why it is you hold that view?
Right?
How do you reach that conclusion?
Him?
Well, I think I would break it down to two major reasonings. Number one, it appeared to me that Mr. Floyd, who was an acknowledged chronic user of substances, particularly opiates, likely developed a heightened tolerance. There's even one emergency room visit that I had reviewed where he came in and he told the emergency room team that he was tearful and says, I'm having trouble with substance abuse, so I just took, I think he said, 8 Percocets within 2 hours. He had no side effects from that at all. They observed him for a couple hours and they discharged him. And just looking through it, looked like he had built up a high tolerance just in general.
He don't work at Kroger's no more. He work at
and just as important,
you know where
more important, was I didn't an opiate overdose. When I reviewed the videos.
And when you refer to the signs of an opiate overdose, would you tell the jurors or describe to them what are those signs and what didn't you see?
Sure. So in my experience in the intensive care unit, taking care of patients who come in with an opiate overdose, first of all, they are usually extremely lethargic. Oftentimes,
I remember you thought I was being racist. I called somebody a chunky monkey one time.
I don't remember that. You said remind me.
Yeah, remind me.
Slurred speech.
He's like monkey. He's like, yeah, chunky monkey.
If they're standing up, which they wouldn't be.
You don't remember that?
Intoxication and overdose. They would have to imagine get pretty dizzy pretty quickly. I kind of saw all the opposite with Mr. Floyd. I saw that he was alert, he was awake, he was conversant, he was walking, and yet, according to the toxicology report, he had this degree of fentanyl in his system. So just looking at the clinical story, I didn't see any signs or symptoms of
That's what the
fentanyl.
defense trying to say why he died.
He wasn't on no fentanyl. That man was.
He was on drugs.
What role do you feel that
Don't you know fentanyl his ass would have been knocked out and drowsy at the time?
That's what the doctor said.
feel like
That's what they was giving my mom.
That's bad. That's doing a
And why is that?
Yes.
That's
all considering
They was giving her fentanyl. Yes, it was. Every time they wanted her to wake up and they would give, she's like, why y'all giving her this? If y'all want her, they'll take her off. Next thing they gave her to give us a pain. Like, they was giving my mom fentanyl.
Of everything else, I felt very confident.
Yeah, that's the toxic ass shit. You died from that.
Methamphetamine was not what was triggering this profound cardiopulmonary arrest and ultimately PEA.
So, Dr. Rich, then, taking into account all of the evidence that you reviewed, do you have an opinion to a reasonable degree of medical certainty as to whether Mr. Floyd's death was preventable?
Yes, I do.
Would you tell us what that opinion is?
Yes, I believe that Mr. George Floyd's death was absolutely preventable.
Were there critical points in time during his subdual and restraint on the ground when you feel measures could have or should have been taken that would have preserved his life?
Yes, I do. I think there were several junctures, actually.
And fentanyl, you can't get that off the street. You got to get that through the doctor.
Well, the first, of course, was to not subject him to that initial prone restraint positioning that he was subjected to. I mean, that is first and foremost. So if that was not the case, I don't think he would have died. The second, though, was when he was in that subdual and restraint positioning, and he was stating repeatedly that he can't breathe, and he was getting a little weaker in his speech. There was one moment in the video where I heard one of the officers saying, I think he's passing out. That would have been an opportunity to quickly relieve him from that position of not getting enough oxygen, perhaps turn him into a recovery position, and allow him to start to expand his lungs again and bring in oxygen and get rid of carbon dioxide. So in addition to not putting him in that position in the first place, when there were signs that he was worsening, repositioning him, I think very likely would have also saved his life.
Was there a point in time, Dr. Rich, when Mr. Floyd was checked for his pulse when he was
you got some people that's really guilty,
but
you
got a lie for him.
It's still a lawyer, it's not a lie.
At the time that he was checked for a pulse,
A lawyer is a liar.
in your opinion as a cardiologist, was there anything Mr. Chauvin could have done at that point in time that would likely have saved Mr. Floyd's life?
It depends on if you
How
win.
good you are.
Coach Cornell, tell the truth.
Well, at the time that Mr. Floyd is determined to have not had a pulse, what is your opinion, the reasonable degree of medical certainty as to what Mr. Chauvin may have done
Get your big butt up.
that would have potentially saved his life?
Come here, come give over these whites.
Overall, well, just prior to that
Just
point,
shake it off and let Princess eat your
I
crumb.
heard one of the officers actually ask on two occasions if Mr. Floyd should be turned on to his side. And the response was, no, just leave him.
Yeah, I told you this, right?
And once the officer announced
she was right
that
on
he
my
did not have and he actually said he does not have those exact words.
And that ain't give nothing to eat up.
The immediate response would then be to not only relieve him of the restraint, but at that point now you got to start immediate justice questions, because we know that if you can get to a patient right away, even when they've lost their pulse, even when they've gone into a cardiopulmonary arrest, there is a significant opportunity to save a life. But for every minute that transpires that you are not performing the basic life support and CPR measures, the literature would suggest an approximately 10 to 15% less chance of survival. It is why we pour so many resources these days into a community education and training for bystander CPR because it's so effective and it works if the person can be tended to.
I saw it. It did say just right here.
From your review of the video, where you could see Mr. Floyd and Mr. Chauvin there on the ground.
The hardest thing is
Mr. Chauvin did CPR.
Was he
Did you see any reason,
resisting?
from your observation, that he could not have supplied CPR?
You know they be saying he be resisting.
Well, within the medical opinion, so that is sustained.
I'm sorry, Ryan.
Sustained. Opinion counsel.
These things go straight in without no
So at the
problem.
time then that Mr. Floyd was actually put into from the scene,
You ain't doing it right. Yeah.
in your opinion as a cardiologist,
Well, you don't
what
floss
would have
it.
been
Yeah,
the
down start
prospects of
bleeding out.
resuscitating him at that point?
Or you may give an opinion if you have one.
So at that point, I think the chance of meaningful survival, unfortunately, is very low because I counted the number of minutes that he was on the ground, pulseless, without any CPR. And by the time the paramedics rushed in to get him, and to get him onto the stretcher into the back of the ambulance, at that point, a lot of time had passed. I give tremendous credit to the efforts of the paramedics and the doctors and nurses in the emergency room. I mean, they worked on him for what seemed
Sustained. This is non-responsive.
Dr. Rich, do you have an opinion to a reasonable degree of medical certainty as to whether Mr. Floyd would have lived if not for the 9 minutes and 29 seconds of subdual and restraint?
Overruled if you have an opinion.
Let me finish my question for you, Dr. Rich. Do you have an opinion as to whether George Floyd would have lived if not for Mr. Chauvin's subdual and restraint of him for 9 minutes and 29 seconds on the ground?
Yeah.
Overruled. Reasonable degree of medical certainty.
Yes, I believe he would have lived.
Yep, he would have lived if that officer ain't choked.
Last question, Dr. Rich.
The officer put his knee on his neck.
Do you have an opinion as to whether a completely healthy George Floyd, that is, any healthy human being,
Prosecutor trying to
would have survived the
answer.
subdual and restraint that Mr. Floyd suffered during the 9 minutes and 29 seconds on May 25th of 2020?
The defense attorney is trying to.
Sustained is irrelevant.
Which one is
The general person.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. My question to you, Dr. Rich, is would any person, a healthy person, have survived the circumstances or conditions that George Floyd underwent during the 9 minutes and 29 seconds on May 25th of last year?
Sustained.
Yeah, they don't want to answer the
question, Dr. Rich.
So we'll take a 1 minute morning recess.
20 minute recess.
A little bit, another question.
Well,
That was the defendant?
No,
that was the doctor.
Washington, you just
No, the
heard
black
from
dude.
Cahill.
No, that was the
about 20 minutes
prosecutor
break
asking the
now
doctor
in trial
questions.
of former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin, charged, of course, in the death back in May
Open up them
of
codes
George
right
Floyd.
now.
This is the third week of testimony. We'll also let you know we're standing by for another law enforcement event. This in a suburb just outside of Minneapolis, where a young black man was shot and killed yesterday.
They just shot
in
and
a
killed
police
a
event.
black,
We're waiting for the police
oh,
department
I
to
saw
explain
that.
shooting as
Shot and
well.
killed another
We'll take
black
you
person.
to
He the governor cousin.
Bring in on the important testimony this morning.
In the same state that George Floyd died.
Enforcement analyst, former Philadelphia Police Commissioner Charles Ramsey. Laura, it has been Dr. Jonathan Rich testifying for the prosecution this morning. He is a cardiologist. He reviewed the records in the George Floyd case, both the medical records and the videos. He's the 36th prosecution witness, and they are
That's what the defense
cement
trying to
the
say. Who
jury's
represent
mind,
that cop?
that George Floyd died because of Officer Chauvin's conduct, not because of anything else.
Absolutely, and the headline here is his statement that he believes that Mr. George Floyd's death was absolutely preventable. And
Yep, that's what the doctor just said.
Ways of doing so.
He said if it wasn't for that cop, George Floyd would still be alive. Hey, what's up, yo?
His body to allow him to be able to breathe.
Oh, nah, so we getting the car fixed. It's gonna be ready tomorrow, man.
Even once a pulse was detected,
Yeah, we're gonna be
as
up
a
there.
way of trying to, even when somebody's pulse is not there, that the survival rates can be higher if you quickly administer it. referencing bystanders' ability to be able to render CPR and the resource.
Oh, you want to wait to art? All right, okay. Okay. Tom, give me that remote. What?
Let me see your remote real quick. So what is Tommy going up there for now?
The practice.
For what though? You got a game coming up or something?
Game Saturday, yeah.
Saturday when?
This Saturday. This Saturday. You got a game.
When?
I don't know when.
Saturday I'm going to my cousin's house.
Cousin house for what?
My family get together.
We got a game Saturday. We going to the game. You want to go, you can go. You don't want to go to the game, you don't got to go.
Tommy ain't going to no game.
Why the fuck you gonna be doing shit that you know you can't do? Yeah, fucking
Tommy, when is your next class?
You fucking tell her, dude.
Oh, okay.
Why the fuck you doing shit that you can't fucking do?
What my...
That's the sniper I want. Sniper I want.
Get yourself sorted. We'll be deploying shortly.
Back in the game, old head. Back in it, guys. Oh, God. Old head. You're like 40 inches. Fuck no, bro. My voice. What's up?
You're done warming up. Stand by for deployment.
Well, you're close
That's what
enough.
my call you.
Might as well be.
No, you gotta talk.
Might as well. You're fine.